I'm going to tell Dad. Well, this next panel is going to be very exciting. Tough to top the last one. Oh, man. But this one's going to be just as thought-provoking. We're going to have two representatives of some incredible companies, one affiliated with Link2. It's going to be Nancy Beaton, Chief Revenue Officer of Uphold, a portfolio company available on Link2's cutting-edge platform for all you credit investors out there. And she's going to be accompanied by, Favio Velarde, Strategic Growth Manager of Sologenic, and the panelist moderator is going to be the one and only Molly Elmore of Val Hill Capital. Let's give them a round of applause. Val Hill Advisors.
All good.
All right.
Oops. Welcome. We're going to talk about tokenization today, and I have two guests here with me from Uphold and Sologenic. And before we get into tokenization, how it's going to change the world, tell us a little bit about how your two companies work together, and like why are you both here speaking as a group? You want to start with that?
Sure, I can start with that. Sologenic is an ecosystem built on the XRP ledger. We're kind of a one-stop shop for all things XRP. You can tokenize assets on demand, trade them on the DEX. We have an NFT marketplace. We recently launched an IDO launchpad as well. And in that sense, Uphold is a partner as an entry point to this technology. Of course, if you need to hold these tokens to access all of the features. So Uphold is one of our partners. They listed recently Corium and Sologenic as well. And I'll pass it on to you, Nancy.
Yeah, so Uphold is offering Sologenic, Corium, XRP, and others. And we work with a lot of the communities, specifically with Solo and Corium. You know, it's a really great partnership that we try to have with the tokens and the communities, where we go all the way from researching to our listing committee to making them live. In the case with Corium, we did a large countdown for our community in our app and through social and with our communities collectively, so that our users could buy Corium in time for the snapshot. So we saw Corium, we have 265 tokens on the platform. We saw Corium that day hit the top 20 after we worked together to promote that right before the snapshot. Solo probably had a 15x trading lift that it saw from that kind of community partnership as well. And then you'll see us also offer the Solo network integration and Corium network integration for if you want to move off your Solo and Corium as well. So we try to work with all of the, what I would say, really good, legitimate platforms, protocols, and tokens in order to bring them to our platform and then, allow people to trade, buy, sell, and exit.
How do you decide at Uphold what tokens to list? Is there sort of like a checklist you follow?
Yeah, so we have a listing committee. We're obviously highly regulated, and so we take compliance very seriously. We have a listing committee that will review the tokens. It's everything from, check all the boxes for security, not a security in our definition? Has it been audited? What do the founders look like? Where are the tokens going? How much does the team hold? And so we take probably about 30% to 40% of the tokens that come to us. Roughly 70% of the tokens that want to be listed don't hit all of the legitimate criteria we look for. Okay. And so when we find something like Solo, then once it's listed, then we'll start working with the team and we will start promoting it to our users. And our users are high into, enterprise-based tokens, obviously XRP and all the community around that. And so it's really nice when we can find a token that meets all those great criteria and then we can list it.
So considering the scrutiny you're under, Uphold is one of the few places that do not delist XRP. Can you speak a little bit about why that decision was made?
Awesome. So, I said before, we're highly regulated, so we do take compliance incredibly serious at Uphold. So we are, FCA licensed in the UK. We have 44 plus MTL MSBs here in the US. We have licensing in Lithuania. We take that very seriously. And so when we looked at what was happening, and obviously there is a lawsuit out there. But when we look at that and work with our legal counsel, there is no legal precedent yet. And so for us, it felt prudent to maintain listing the token. And when there's legal precedent, we'll have to follow it. But right now, there is not legal precedent, and we feel comfortable listing the token.
Favio, one of the concepts that we discuss in this world is that eventually everything will be tokenized. So that's a kind of a grand scheme. So what do you see as sort of the big push that's going to spark adoption of tokenization in like a meaningful way?
I think we align with Uphold when we definitely think institutions are going to be the ones driving adoption. And in that sense, asset tokenization is already here in many use cases. Like, for example, the art market wasn't a liquid market before NFTs were a thing, and now XRP NFTs are popular, people are using it. But I do think the real push will come when we tokenize real assets, like, for example, stocks. So that's why we're doing a pilot program to bring this type of assets into the chain. And the question is why? Because it allows features like fractionalized trading, trading after hours 24/7, and overall new liquidity will come into the XRPL when we unlock these assets on the chain. But to answer your question, yes, this big push I think will be seen when this financially traditional assets will be brought into the blockchain in a compliant and regulated way.
Now I know that there's some restrictions around what you can do in the United States currently because of regulation. Can you speak a little bit about what's going on in Europe with Sologenic, some of the exciting innovations?
There's some things that are still in a gray area, of course, in the States specifically. And we really appreciate partners like Uphold when they are the ones that decided to maintain an offering XRP, because our platform, as you know, has the main user base in the States, and to access and use Sologenic's ecosystem, you need to hold XRP. So the on-ramping was one of the things that we need to figure out. And in Europe, it's much easier. For example, we work with Banksa and Simplex, and it's so easy to just on-ramp your fiat into crypto and start trading and start holding a wallet. Wallet activations is a thing that we are heavily invested on, because it's hectic right now. You need to hold certain reserve of XRP to be able to utilize it. So we have some key partners and that help us to make that user onboarding easier. But yeah, Europe is definitely more friendly. Germany has had some really exciting updates, and then the UAE is one of our targets for the pilot program based on the VARA. How do you call it? Like premise or like structure that they have provided for regulation.
I have more of a philosophical question for both of you. So the people in this room probably understand more about tokenization than anybody else that we would run into walking around in Las Vegas. So as adoption kind of gains some speed, do you think it's important for the masses to understand sort of the nuances of tokenization, or is it like a cell phone where I don't really need to understand how it works to be able to use it?
I generally think tokenization sometimes gets overcomplicated. It is really the action of merging an asset to a code on the blockchain to track authenticity and ownership, those two things. So having said that, I don't think it's something that the public needs to understand. Like I said, we need to focus on the use cases of it. Like what is it offering to people to actually want to create a wallet instead of promoting them create a wallet and hold crypto. You need to be promoting it. This is what you can do with it. This is how you can spend it. Yeah, that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on how much it changes today's paradigm. So, if I'm used to having something physical and I'm not going to have that physical anymore, then I think you're going to have to explain it a little bit deeper. I think it also depends on the value that you're tokenizing. So, for the retail side and consumer side of the house, we've all been to a home closing where I've signed 18 contracts and didn't read a one, right? But I know that it's selling my house and it's all good and the money's coming and I just keep signing. So I feel like, you're tokenizing a real estate contract. I don't think people want to understand how that sausage is made. I think they just want to understand a very user-friendly experience to get it done. I think if you're talking about on the higher end, you're talking about institutional investors, maybe somebody that typically wanted to know where their gold bars were, and now they may not exactly know where they are, but they're accounted for.
Okay.
I think that more sophisticated person might be a little bit more interested in the security around it. So to me, it's who's the target and how much value is getting tokenized. But ideally, most people won't have to understand the tech around it, in order to participate.
So let's look forward into the future a little bit. Let's make the assumption that all the regulation stuff just gets worked out and is no longer a barrier. Like, institutional businesses will probably spark adoption, but we have mostly retail people here today. What do you think is going to be a really meaningful change in our lives that comes as a function of tokenization? Like, how's it going to affect us in 5-10 years? What do you think?
Well, firstly, I think there's not going to be a barrier between this tokenized securities, stocks, commodities as a separate thing to cryptos, stable coins, and NFTs. It's going to be the same thing.
Okay.
We're going to be able to unlock new more liquidity will come into both parts, right?
Okay.
But if you asked me how it would change our lives, I would think it would make our lives easier. Like anything that it's technology-wise, it creates a solution. So for example, buying a house, like you mentioned that example, real estate, might be something that you could do on the blockchain and on demand, and just overall the transaction of value will be seamless. I think that's the core principle.
Yeah, I think for the retail sector, I think a couple things will happen. And one, I loved, what Johnny was saying with Merlin on people are going to get the tools to better manage their portfolios. So we're coming out with a trailing stop loss offer in the app where you can just set when this token, loses 5%, sell it for me, 11, whatever that might be, or on the reverse, at take profit. So I think the retail side will get more and more sophisticated tools that you might be used to having on the classic investing side.
Okay.
But one thing that I really like is I think you'll see a lot more of these neo-banking type of services come into play, where maybe you're using your crypto now to pay your bills or take a loan against the crypto, or all of those types of things that you're so used to having with your traditional bank and your Apple Pay and other things. I think you will start to be able to use your crypto portfolio to have a debit card and pay, or you'll be able to send money. I could send money to Favio or crypto to Favio just like I send Venmo today. So I think the crypto will have a lot more utility, and the usage of it will become way more seamless, whether it's peer-to-peer or individual to business.
Yeah.
Now, most of us still live in a fiat world where we have to pay for things in fiat, and that's one of the challenges, is the on-ramps and off-ramps. Can you talk about a little bit what Uphold is doing in terms of ramp development?
Yeah, and I'm about to steal a little thunder from Robin, who's coming up. But so we just launched an on-ramp called Topper, so you can top up your wallet. And basically, we are connected to 19 different networks. So any project on those networks can use our on-ramp to have their users, buy crypto with a credit card and put it in the wallet and immediately use it in that project. So we have that for whether it's a non-custodial wallet, a Web3 project, a game, and we support 264 assets. So that's all available within this on-ramp and eventually off-ramp in Topper.
I think products like that are the ones that are driving adoption, because you can use the same login or KYC that you used on Uphold in other exchanges. And for us, it's very appealing because it's, if you think about Web 2, you have to remember your username, your password. Web 3 is just your wallet address, right? And then that's how you transact value. That's how you have your identity in the blockchain. And it's just good because more people will be able to use our services and use the ecosystem to, issue tokens, trade them, create NFTs, and all the good stuff that's there.
Now, one of the largest financial markets is the derivatives market, and knowing that Sologenic and Corium have smart contract capabilities when working together, do you think that the derivatives market would move to your platform?
Well, just to clarify, Sologenic is a project built on the XRP ledger.
Okay.
Corium is an L1 that we ideated 2 years ago, and we kind of built with asset tokenization in mind as well.
Okay.
Just because some things we saw that were working really well, but other things could be better in a world of smart contracts and interoperability, especially with IBC. I don't want to get too much into Corium, but yes, I definitely think that the derivatives market is going to be there.
And just if you had to speculate, are we looking at like a year from now? Is this 10 years away to start to see some of these traditional markets migrate over to the blockchain?
I wouldn't be able to say. I think 2 years would be a safer answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think institutional investors are going to start trading right away. I mean, MICA overseas, as well as, you know, folks that are having hedge funds or high net worth individuals, like many people in this room, when they want to do these larger trades, they want that sort of optimal execution you get from an OTC desk. And so I think institutions will come aboard very quickly. And then to Favio's point, I think that's when you get even more sophisticated into derivatives and other things that will follow.
Because it's going to be hard to have a market in two places at once. You kind of have to move it over for people to be able to trade efficiently.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's an exciting world of tokenization. I think there's a lot of innovation coming ahead, and I appreciate you guys
Happy to be here.
about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.